Welcome back. This is Shepard tone step 2, and we're going to actually start programming in the Shepard tones. If you haven't already done the step 1, please go back and do that. Make sure your setup looks something like this. So the first thing we're going to do with the Shepard tone is we're going to program our high tone. So I'm going to go ahead and I've labeled these so we can quickly get around on them. Remember, I arranged that on the screen the same way. So we've got high tone is up here. This is our low tone. This will be our mid tones right here. So to create a note, go down to your note track and just double click on that line anywhere and you'll see a red square appear. You want to drag this red square out to the 9th bar. Okay, so if you need to, you might need to resize your viewing, but make sure that that square goes all the way to bar 9 right there. And next, I want to go over here where it says Smart. This is your grid divisions. When we get inside here, that'll kind of dictate how many grid divisions we have. When it's set to Smart, it actually changes depending on how far you're zoomed in. And I want to actually have this locked into just one bar so that we only have one division per bar. And you'll see what that'll do when I open this up. So make sure that says bar over there. And then I'm going to double click on this red line that we created here, and it'll open up our note editor here. I'm going to go ahead and you can see that this is just set to be one bar right now. I'm going to drag this out so that it covers that whole range here. This is your looping point here. Okay. And then over here on the left we've got our keyboard, and C4 should be in the middle. That's about right about in the middle of the piano. We actually want this to be our high tone, and so I'm going to scroll up until I see C8. And if I click on that note, right? Very high pitch, right? Not the best one to be listening to all day long, but this is going to be the very top end of our Shepard tone. So what I'm going to do is just come straight out from that C. Okay. And you know what? I just realized. You hear how the pitch is kind of bending down that way. I just realized that I told you wrong in the setup. We need to have that pitch turned off. I believe that's sending the pitch through our envelope, which is kind of creating that weird setup there. Oh, I did leave it off there. Okay, so make sure that that pitch is turned off. That should sound more normal now. There we go. We just want one nice long high note. Okay, so we've got one note entered, and I want to drag it out all the way over. So this note is going to last all 8 bars. Okay, just this one note. And go ahead and close that by just double clicking back on the red bar. And right now, if I just push play, it'll just be that one note for the full 8 bars, right? Which again is going to be real annoying to listen to right now. So I'm not going to continue to play it. So what we want to do, remember, in a Shepard tone is the pitches sound like they are just continually rising, right? And so first thing that I want to do is I want to make this note not just stay on that one note the whole time, but I want it to like slowly go up across those 8 bars in pitch, right? So it's going to get very high by the end. So how to make the note change over time, we've got to automate it. And how to automate it is if you come over here to the right, over by where it says notes, and do a right click or a 2-finger tap on this track, and it will come up with automate. And we want to automate something in the master section called tune. So go ahead and select that, and that'll create a track called tune that's underneath your notes. Be careful when you click on the notes track. If you accidentally left click on it, then you'd see how it grays out. So that turns the track off, so it won't play anymore. So if you accidentally turned it off, make sure it's on with that white dot. And then we've got our tune track now. So with the tune track, we're going to double click on that and create a green square. And the same thing as we did before. Let's drag that out so that it's the same length as this. And then we're going to double click on that green track now. And again, pull out our loop point. And this is going to be the pitch bend of our track. So it's going to start out right at the note that we wanted it to start on. And right now you can see it's staying the same pitch all the way throughout. So if I double click at the very end here, it'll create a new dot. And then I'm going to just drag that dot all the way up to the top. And so now what's going to happen is this note is going to go up over time in pitch. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that open while I push play so you can hear it do that. Cool. And your dog's going to be going crazy right now if you have one. So you can see that that's climbing up in pitch as that goes. The other thing that we need to do with the Shepard tone on the high note is that, oh, and again, I just double clicked on that top part to close that out. But what we need to do is we need to decrease the volume as it goes up, because we want this highest tone in the Shepard tone to just disappear as it goes up high, because we want it to kind of fade into the ether, right? So we need to automate one more thing on it. We need to automate its volume, or gain, sometimes it's called. So again, we're going to 2-finger tap on this note track, automate, go to master again, and the very first one is gain. So now I've got tune and gain underneath that. And again, I'm going to double click on it, and again, drag it out, and then double click again, drag that loop point out again. And this is representing our volume now, and it's set up here. So we want this one to start at full volume, and then right about in the middle, which is about right here, I'm going to double click. So I've got a dot there. And then I'm going to go to the very end and double click again. So now I've got 2 dots, one in the middle and one at the very end. And then I'm going to drag this one at the very end down. So it's going to be full volume halfway through, and then towards the latter half of this, it's going to slowly disappear from sound, right? The volume's just going to be going down over time. And I know you want me to play that, but I'm just going to have you take my word for it right now. We'll come back to that later. Okay, so let's do the kind of the reverse in a way with the low note. So we're going to go ahead and click on our low note track here, drag it out, double click on that, and for our low note, I want you to scroll down. We're going to actually use C1, which is so low you may not be able to hear it on your headphones. That's how low it is, pretty low. So again, I drag that loop point out to be all 8 bars. And C1, I'm going to double click there and just drag it out. Okay, so now I've got this really, really low pitch that's going to be happening. I'm going to double click on that to kind of send it away, and we're going to automate this low pitch again. So 2-finger tap on that track and go to automate, and we're going to automate the master tune. Double click on that, drag it out, and drag the loop point out. And the low note, we also want to have pitch up over time. So I'm going to go ahead and click that and drag that up just like we did with the high note. So it's going to slowly go up over time. Okay, I'm going to close that. And then we're also going to automate the gain on this one. But here's where we do the opposite thing. So I'm going to create this edit track again. Double click on it, stretch out the loop point, and for the low note we want it to kind of come out of nowhere. So it's going to start out totally silent, and then about halfway through it's going to come into focus, right? So I'm going to go ahead and double click in the middle again just to create that white dot, and then I'm going to come back to the beginning here, and we're going to drag this all the way down. So this will be the volume of this low note. It's going to slowly come in, and then by the end it's going to be full volume, and it'll end up at full volume. Okay. Now all this is going to start to make more sense when we get to the midtones. The highest note of the Shepard tone is going to be this one that's ascending that we just want to disappear into nothing less, like I say. And the lowest note, we want it to come out of nowhere and kind of come into the picture over time. And then the midtones are going to be really what creates the body of this sound. So before we do that, let me just play what we have right now, which is just the low note and the high note. And again, it's going to sound a little bit annoying, so you might want to turn down a little bit. So you'll hear this high note's getting quite annoying right about now, but you should start to hear the low note come into play here as the high note is fading out. Cool. So